figured it's time to record myself again. So I'm doing what I have been doing for the last couple of weeks, and that I'm planning on intending doing for a little while further, and that is to work simultaneously on two works. On paper, finishing up the top 100 2020. There's, I believe, 34 works on paper still to be finished, and all at the same time I started a series of paintings that are all going to be double portraits for the top 100 2021. And this is what you see in front of you. I have yesterday I just made a quick oil sketch on a canvas that just for the occasion I primed black. I usually, don't do that, but and this is number 6 for this series of 2021. That number is very premature, as the list is still taking shape. So this number 6 may end up at anywhere between, I would say, numbers 1 and not likely, but and maybe number 80. What I do know, otherwise I wouldn't have painted, that this song has gathered already enough points to be part of the top 100 2021. So I primed it. I gave it a layer of oil paint with black, and then I made a quick oil sketch with white on top of the black, and now I'm just going to first of all focus more on the individual, the 5 individual faces that you see here, and for now I'm just using pure turpentine as my medium, and be using just brown, burnt umber, and white, just for now, for the initial stage. So I'm just gonna start to paint in some of these faces here. This is right now where I'm painting from. It's an image that I printed out online. So it's the other side is this one right here. Coffee. I have taped now the image of Shituni above the easel. I'm going to spend a little bit of time now working on Shituni's portraits. Surprisingly not dry yet. Painting is of course a much different discipline, in terms of immediacy at least, as drawing, which you'll see in a moment's time when I'm gonna shift attention to the drawing that I'm working on simultaneously to this point. The song that I'm illustrating is one of several in the list of the top 100 2021. That does not have a whole lot of information to it, so I had to do a little guesswork when it comes to these images. The song title is Lamento de Albania, in Spanish, Albanian Layman. And I found that one on the collection La Voz Humana en la Música. Parte Uno. It's a Spanish language website, and this was compiled by the Argentinian anthropologist, musicologist Carlos Ranoso, professor of anthropology at the University of Buenos Aires. His liner notes to the Albanian recording are short. And, so here I go to my cheat sheet and quote from the liner notes: a funeral song by a group of about 12 women. The song is syllabic, it does not have any words. Then so the song, described by Reynoso, is a collective clamor organized according to a strophic structure. The source of the recording was the Institute of Popular Culture in Tirana, which is the capital of Albania. So I looked up this institute to find a little bit more information, because that's what I just read to you. It's all I had, and so I found that the institute itself does not exist anymore, at least not under that name. There's several contenders who could have been the successors, if any. But I did find something. I found, researching, or Googling the Institute of Popular Culture Tirana, it led me to the name Spyro Shiptuni, which is the individual who I'm painting right now. And so that was kind of interesting. I'll tell you why. So according to that website where I found it, Shiptuni is an Albanian American whose nationality is a Romanian. I had to look that one up too, but a Romanian was a language group. It's Eastern Romance people. He moved to the United States in 1992 and was for a period employed at the Ohio State University. Between 1993 and 2000 he taught a course called An Introduction to the Music of the World Peoples. And this happens to be the exact time that I also was at Ohio State University as a grad student. I was a grad student in painting from 1993 to 1997. That's when I got my graduate degree. And I stayed on at Ohio State as a lecturer, and I was there until 2011. I wish I knew then what I know now, and I would have searched out this individual. But I did not. And I would have certainly, taken that course had I known who he was, because I was certainly at that time interested in this music. I would have certainly taken that course. In 2005, while working as a gallery assistant at OHSU, I organized an exhibition of record sleeve collection, and I did come in contact then with Margareta Mazzo, a professor in the cognitive music department. She was Russian. Mazzo had recorded The Old Believers, music of the Necros of Cossacks, and that is a CD on the Smithsonian label, and I have a copy of that CD, and it was in the top 100 during that year, and among, so there were some other years as well. And so I did seek out Margareta Mazzo for that exhibition, and she contributed, and it was lovely. I had never heard of Chituni then yet. By the way, he was already gone. In 2005, he had moved on to the University of South Carolina. Back then, in 2005, and actually completed this around 2009 or something, I was compiling a CD with examples of Christ singing, mostly funerary laments. Throughout the world existed, and still does, but it's quickly disappearing, this practice of mourning singing. And I had gathered, examples from Ireland, where it's called keening, to Papua New Guinea, and anywhere in between. So I just about, at that time, or when I, finished the compilation, I had just about a little over an hour's worth of recordings that went on there. And this song that I'm illustrating right now, the Albanian Layman, I did not know about that recording. Had I known it, it would have certainly been included, because it's a wonderful example of this cry singing, lamentation. And I probably would have contacted Chituni in the process, even though I am not, and I should say this, even though, there's no date given when this was recorded, but Chituni, he was, an important figure in that institute where that, where it originates from. I'm going to skip back to the women in the painting for a moment. Get that to a certain I'm gonna do a little bit more here, and then it should dry. before I let it dry, I'm going to put a few details in there. So that makes it. I mean, that's the way I do these things. This image right here that I'm working from right now, of the wailing Albanian women, I found in Dead Rituals in Albania, an anthropological review by Gentian Viska and Bardel Sipi. Having my cheat sheet again here in front of me. It was published on Anthrocom, an online journal of anthropology, in 2010. Viska and Chipi used this 1985 photo courtesy of the Albanian Film Archive. The caption reads, "The wailing, ritual and laments in southern Albania are led from a professional mourner, a woman that might not be a relative of the dead and hired for that function." And this was quoted by Viska and Chipi from that article, from that paper. The caption also reaffirmed me that I was painting Albanian women. I had started this painting without this this context, you know, that I actually just researched this morning before I came out here to paint. I was not even sure when I started the painting. I thought maybe this person that I have my hand on right now, I thought he maybe was a man, but according to this to the caption, this is a group of wailing women, which was exactly what I needed to illustrate this particular song. So the whole picture, there's actually 8, and I'm painting the 4. This is the whole picture that I got from this website. But I, usually only the 4 on the right hand side. A few more brush marks, and I'm gonna then let it dry for a little bit. Actually want to put in a few features. Thing I have to do too is step out of this chair and take a little step back to view it from a distance to see if there's anything in the composition that needs changing before I go like too far into it. Just a few things in black, and then I'm gonna have to let it dry because the black it's dirty. It's gonna dirty everything up. I tried to touch it on top of it, but I did want to put like a little bit of hints of features, placement, eyebrows, mouth, ball. Ashaninka song that is in the top 100 of 2020. And I had to zoom out the camera a little bit. You know, obviously this is a vertical portrait format. The image is very intriguing. This is the image that I used, and it's kind of a very expressive image. And the way I drew it too, with these wild kind of like swirly marks, it kind of enhances that feeling, almost like, you know, one of those like series of paintings that Mondrian did of women that, you know, were intended to be like spiritual paintings, but not. Then on the other side is on the other side, I mean, it's going to be in the background, this image of this, I know a musicologist called Pineda. What's his last name? What's his first name? I'm going to go to my cheat sheet. Never wrote down his first name. Oh well. Oh yeah, Josephat Roel Pineda. That's him. He's gonna. I mean, it doesn't like look so great right next to, but it's gonna be fine. I'm gonna leave that in pencil, enhance it a little bit, and work with ink and a little pen, a little bottle of blue ink. I'll probably use more colors ink. Working on this Ashaninka. Number 66 of the top 100 2020. This song, Ashaninka songs, 2 songs actually, was also part of the top 100 2019. And back in 2019, while painting the illustrations, I did do some contextual research as to what I was listening to. Let me just, in the meantime, I get started here. Get some, lines to get me going on here. So that's the song. Ashaninka song is actually 2 short songs in one track, and it appears on a project initiated by Mickey Hart of the Grateful Dead for the Library of Congress, and it's called Endangered Music Project. These Ashaninka songs, they come from the first CD in that collection. And that is called The Spirit Cries, music from the rainforests of South America and the Caribbean. Sections on the CD involving the Peruvian Indians, the Shipovo and Ashaninka, were recorded in 1963 and 1964 by Enric Pinella and Josephat Pineda. I may assume that Pinella, a Peruvian avant-garde composer, was responsible for the recordings of the Shipobo and Pinella for the Ashaninka recordings, but I can't be sure. The otherwise well documented CD does not distinguish which one's which. One is first and one song is first. I assume that. While writing about both sets of recordings last year, I spoke about Pinella and omitted Pineda. Now, while focusing on the Ashaninka only, I'm reversing this and chose to include a portrait of Pineda to the drawing of the Ashaninka woman. This drawing right here. actually a lot easier to do on the tabletop, I noticed. And so in a while I'm actually gonna take it down inside and work a little bit on the table before I bring it back out to the video setup that I have outside here. The one, by the way, that I'm drawing is anonymous, as are the performers, for that matter, of the Ashaninka songs on this CD. The photo that I showed you, this one, it comes from the Gutenberg Ethnographic Museum, and I found it on a Brazilian website documenting Amazonian tribes. I could not find photographs made by either Pinella or Pineda during their field recording sessions in the Amazon region of eastern Peru. I commented in the text of the painting that I did for the Ashaninka last year on the tattoos seen in older vintage photographs of many Ashaninka women. Beautiful face tattoos that have now, I don't think they, witnessing current photos, I don't think they tattoo anymore, but they still do face paintings with the same designs as these tattoos used to be. Talking about tattoos, I can't get this image out of my head. Something that I saw this morning. Tattoos on the back of Grimes, who is the partner of Elon Musk. She covered her back in abstract, very expressive white markings resembling doodles of scribbling, or if you think about art, the style of Antonin Artaud's drawings or Alberto Giacometti's. I saw it on the Daily Mail this morning, of all places. They probably put it up to feed the disgust of people have, that the disgust people have for the ultra-rich extravagance escapades, to shock their viewers. I wasn't shocked. I find the tattoos rather impressive. Easily one of the best non-tribal or ceremonial tattoos that I've ever seen. Anyway. It's a little focus here when I put some marks and stuff. There's, very little, but there's a few hints of tattoos on this, dotting it in right here of this young woman. Well, not very pronounced. Anyway. Expanding on this fella hat. Sporting. It'll be fun. Yes. I'm kind of pleased with it. It's hard to control the ink in the way that I'm pushing it. You can kind of see my tactics here. I pretty much like most things about it, except this line that was like not intended right here in front of the face of Senor Pineda. There's always a little white out, I guess, that we can use to get back into it. But I do like how Pineda's face kind of gets behind the major image here. So I picked up purple ink. This additional tape here to hold that down. I'm just going to continue where I left off. Now with purple though. Also kind of reminds me what I'm doing now, something that I've done before in the 90s when I created this artist book, Skies Over Italy, which was inspired by Italian art concrete painter Crippa, Luciano Crippa. Very well-known painter, but it was a fun book. Yeah, just listen to the Albanian song that I'm painting here. The Albanian layman by a group of 12 women. What I'm going to do is capture once more everything that's white. we were listening to those two songs, the two Ashaninka songs that this whole thing is about, this whole song is about. And worked a little bit on here this morning before I brought it out. It's kind of interesting because I've been like scribbling so much on this thing that at this point, and this is kind of like, it's kind of like what I want from these things, but at this point, like, there's so much scribbling on it that it's all, you know, everything fits now. And the more I do, the richer it gets, the more intense it gets. So I can just keep on going and going and going, which I am kind of doing anyway. So I simply got to watercolor out. As you probably can see, compared to where I was at yesterday, I wasn't pleased with the phase. And here on the right hand side. And so I actually went through the effort of just erasing the top half of the face and repainting it back in, so it's a completely different painting. I can record that. And so, even though I'm not like totally convinced, it just wasn't resembling, you know, the painting just didn't feel right, the portrait here. And so, messing with it way too much. In the beginning it was alright, but that's how it goes sometimes anyway. I'm now like almost ready to lay it to rest. The one on paper that, you know, that's go back into it. Next up, by the way, is not going to be the date then, but next up is the for the painting session for the top 100 2021. That would be the Shuar people, Givado, which actually moved up just this week into the number 4 spot. That makes it that this, what used to be at number 6, is now at number 7. So I'm not going to paint a number on it until much later into the process, where, you know, when I can get a good idea where things are going to be. The face is much friendlier now and less, I don't know, there was something about it, it was just wasn't quite right. It was lacking some humanity or something. Something to that. Extent. I'm gonna let it be. I haven't touched the women on the left at all. That should do it. Probably after it dries, perhaps doing like a little bit of touch up, but it's gonna take like 3-4 days to dry now. It's rather thick on. So I'll probably leave it at that.